Silverware against porcelain had been the only sound for a few minutes, until Mom set her fork down with a sharp clink that made me glance up. Her eyes locked on me across the long oak table, her lips curling like she'd been waiting all afternoon for the moment. "At some point, Emily," she said, her voice just loud enough for the other tables nearby to hear, "you're going to have to accept reality. You'll never be successful. Stop dreaming." Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation. Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. The words hung in the air, slicing through the hum of the crowded restaurant. I felt heat creep up my neck, but I didn't speak. Across from me, my sister smirked into her wine glass, clearly enjoying the public humiliation. Dad didn't even look up from his steak. The chatter at our table stilled. My cousins looked down at their plates. The waiter, who'd been refilling water at the table beside us, slowed slightly, pretending not to hear but clearly listening. I gripped my napkin under the table so tightly the edges bit into my palms. "Pass the bread," I said calmly, forcing my voice to stay steady, my expression unreadable. If she wanted a scene, she wouldn't get one. "Bread?" Mom laughed, tilting her head. "That's the problem with you. You think small. Bread? Crumbs? You'll be 40 still talking about the next big thing you might do." "Mom," my brother Mark muttered, shifting in his seat. She ignored him, leaning back in her chair, her bracelets jingling. "You can't even hold a stable job, Emily. You bounce from idea to idea like life's some kind of game. It's embarrassing." I stayed still, swallowing down the 100 comebacks clawing at my throat. My boyfriend Ryan, sitting quietly beside me, placed his hand lightly on my knee under the table, a silent signal. "Wait, don't react." Around us, the low hum of other diners continued, but our table felt like a stage and I was trapped in the spotlight. My aunt reached for her wine, clearly relishing the drama. My sister caught Mom's eye and whispered, "Told you she wouldn't say anything." I broke a piece of bread, my fingers steady now. "Are you done?" I asked softly. Mom gave a dramatic sigh, waving her hand dismissively. "Eat your bread, Emily." The rest of lunch passed in thinly veiled tension. Every laugh from my family felt edged with something sharp. Ryan's jaw was tight, his blue eyes flicking from face to face like he was cataloging every insult. When the bill came, Mom snatched it before anyone else could reach. "I've got this," she announced loudly, making it clear she was the one paying. "It's important to treat family, especially the ones who can't treat themselves." Ryan didn't say a word, neither did I. We simply left when the plates were cleared, walking out into the bright Sunday afternoon. In the parking lot, he stopped beside his black SUV, turned to me, and said in a low voice, "Emily, I think I'm going to do something about today." I frowned. "Ryan, don't." He opened the passenger door for me, his expression unreadable. "You'll see." I slid in, not knowing that the next 24 hours would flip everything upside down, and that by Monday afternoon, my family would be sitting at that same table again. Only this time, Ryan would be the one holding the keys to the place. Monday morning hit with that restless heaviness you get when you didn't sleep enough but your brain wouldn't shut off anyway. I stood at the kitchen counter with a mug of coffee, staring at the steam curling upward. Ryan had left early, telling me he had meetings. He didn't elaborate, and I didn't push. But the way he kissed my forehead before leaving, it wasn't his usual goodbye. My phone buzzed with the family group chat lighting up. "Sophie, lunch at Bella Mars again next Sunday?" "Mom, works for me. That place is perfect for family gatherings." I scrolled without responding. Bella Mars, the same place she'd gutted me in front of half the dining room. The humiliation still sat in my chest like a brick. The day dragged, but around 3 p.m., Ryan called. "Are you free around 5? I frowned. "Why? What's going on?" "Just be ready," he said. "Wear something you feel confident in." When Ryan said confident, he didn't mean flashy. He meant the kind of clothes where I could walk into a room and feel unshakable. I picked a black fitted blazer, dark jeans, and ankle boots. Simple, strong. At exactly 5, his SUV pulled up. He stepped out, looking infuriatingly composed in a navy suit, the crisp white shirt open at the collar. No tie. The way his hand found the small of my back as I slid into the car made my pulse skip. We drove in silence for 10 minutes before I noticed the familiar brick building at the end of the block. My stomach tightened. Ryan, why are we going to Bella Mars? He just smiled faintly. You'll see. We pulled into the private parking area behind the restaurant, a space reserved for the owner and management. My confusion deepened when the head chef, Miguel, who'd worked there for years, stepped out the back door, wiping his hands on his apron. His eyes landed on Ryan and lit up. Boss, Miguel said, grinning. Everything's ready for you. Boss? Ryan gave him a nod. Appreciate it, Miguel. You'll meet Emily. She's with me. My brain was still trying to connect dots as we walked inside through the kitchen, the smell of garlic and rosemary wrapping around us. Staff glanced up from their stations, and I noticed something subtle in their expressions. Respect. We stepped into the main dining area, empty, now before the dinner rush. The soft lighting reflected off polished wine glasses. Ryan led me to our table, the same one where Mom had staged her little performance yesterday. I sat slowly, my palms brushing the linen tablecloth. Ryan? What's going on? He sat opposite me, leaning forward. Emily, you sat here yesterday and swallowed every insult, every little jab, without letting them see you break. That took more strength than they'll ever understand. I can't undo what they said, but I can make sure next time you're in this room, the power's in your hands. Before I could respond, the front door opened. 2 men in suits walked in, lawyers. One set a thick folder on the table and slid a page toward Ryan. Congratulations, one said. It's official. As of this afternoon, you own Bella Mars. I blinked. You what? Ryan's smile widened slightly. I bought the restaurant, Emily. Every table, every chair, every plate they used yesterday. It's ours now. My breath caught. I looked around the space, suddenly seeing it differently. This wasn't just a restaurant anymore. It was a stage, and the next act was mine. Tomorrow, Ryan continued, I'm inviting your entire family here for lunch. Same table. Only this time, the bill's on you. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not the polite kind, but the kind that felt like letting go of a weight I'd been carrying for years. And somewhere deep down, I realized, tomorrow wasn't just going to be payback. It was going to be the start of something bigger than I'd ever dreamed. By the time my family walked into Bella Mars the next day, the table was already set for 8. The fresh white linens were pressed so tightly they looked untouched, the silverware perfectly aligned, and the soft glow from the overhead pendants gave everything a polished, almost theatrical air. I'd been here nearly 20 minutes already, long enough to watch the staff prepare, to feel the quiet confidence settle over me like armor. Mom spotted me immediately. Emily, she said as she removed her sunglasses, her tone already tinged with something sharp. I hope you're not here to sulk like you did yesterday. I smiled faintly, keeping my voice even. Not at all. We all sat, chairs scraping gently against the floor, the air thick with unspoken tension. Sophie flipped open her menu without even glancing at me, but I caught her expression when she noticed the small cream-colored card clipped to the front. Welcome to Bella Mars, under new ownership. New owner? She muttered, eyebrows knitting. Before I could respond, the front door swung open and Ryan walked in. He wore the same navy suit as yesterday, only today there was a quiet authority in his stride. He wasn't alone. Right behind him was Harold, the former owner, and a poised woman in a charcoal blazer, the kind of lawyer whose presence always meant business. Good afternoon, Ryan said warmly, placing a thick folder on the table beside me. His voice carried, but not in a showy way, more like someone used to people listening when he spoke. I wanted to personally welcome you to our restaurant. Mom blinked at him, confusion sharpening her features. Our? Ryan looked straight at her, unflinching. I bought Bella Mars yesterday afternoon. Every table, every chair, every plate your food is served on. It's ours now, and I invited you here so you could enjoy it. He leaned slightly forward, his tone firm but measured. Today's lunch is on the house, on one condition. Keep it respectful. Sophie gave a short, disbelieving laugh, shaking her head. You've got to be kidding. You're making this some kind of grand gesture? No, Ryan said evenly. This isn't a stunt. It's ensuring Emily is never treated here the way she was yesterday. Mom's jaw tightened, her fingers pressing into the edge of her menu. We don't need your charity. It's not charity, I cut in before Ryan could respond. My gaze locked with hers, steady. It's a reminder that you can't tear someone down in a place they own. That landed harder than I expected. Mom's lips pressed into a thin line, and Sophie shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Miguel appeared with the first course himself, a plate of burrata and warm tomato confit on charred sourdough. He placed each plate down carefully, his smile lingering on me for a moment longer. "Compliments of the kitchen," he said, then disappeared as quietly as he'd arrived. As my family took their first bites, I watched their faces shift, the initial suspicion giving way to reluctant enjoyment. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about payback, it was about reclaiming a space where I'd been made to feel small and turning it into a place where I couldn't be silenced. The first few minutes passed with nothing but the soft clinking of cutlery and the murmur of conversations from other tables. I could feel my mother's eyes on me, even when she pretended to focus on her plate. "So," Mom finally said, dabbing her mouth with her napkin, "now that your boyfriend bought you a fancy lunch spot, what's the plan? Sit here every day pretending you're the boss?" I set my fork down slowly. I don't have to pretend. Ryan leaned back in his chair, calm but watchful. "Emily has more say in this restaurant than you think." Sophie smirked. "Oh, right. She's probably designing the dessert menu in between all her dreams." I kept my tone steady. Better than sitting around making fun of someone who's actually trying. Mark glanced between us nervously, clearly not eager to be caught in the crossfire. "Maybe we can all—" "No," I interrupted, looking straight at Mom. "Yesterday you told me I'd never be successful, that I should stop dreaming. You wanted everyone to hear it, so now they can hear this. I'm not stopping." Mom's jaw tightened. "You've always been dramatic." Ryan slid the folder across the table toward me. "Open it." I flipped it open to find legal documents, papers with signatures, stamped seals, the works. Ownership transfer. Bella Mars was officially under Ryan's company's name, and right below his signature was mine, listed as co-owner. My breath caught. "Ryan," he smiled slightly, "told you I wanted to do something about yesterday." The table went silent. Even Sophie's smirk faltered. "This isn't charity," Ryan continued, his voice calm but cutting. "It's an investment in someone I believe in, something you should have done a long time ago." Mom's eyes flickered with something I couldn't place. Anger, disbelief, maybe even embarrassment. She picked up her wine glass, trying to mask it, but her hand wasn't as steady as she wanted it to be. I leaned forward, my voice low but clear. "You wanted me to stop dreaming? Now I'm running the place you used to humiliate me in. So if you're going to eat here, get used to the fact that I don't take orders from you anymore." Miguel appeared again with the second course, grilled halibut with fennel and lemon butter. He placed the plates down without saying a word, but the small nod he gave me said everything. The shift was subtle but undeniable. The control of the table had changed hands, and everyone knew it. The second course sat steaming in front of us, but no one touched their food right away. The air was too thick, heavy with a new kind of silence, one that didn't belong to Mom anymore. She finally broke it, swirling her wine glass in slow circles. "So, this is what you think success looks like? Hiding behind someone else's money?" I didn't flinch. "This isn't hiding. This is building. And unlike you, I don't measure success by who I can put down at a table," Sophie scoffed. "Please, you'd still be sitting in your little apartment if Ryan hadn't swooped in to play hero." Ryan's voice cut through, calm but with an edge. "Maybe you missed it, but Emily isn't just sitting here because of me. She's co-owner. That means she makes decisions, hires staff, plans events. Her name is on the documents as much as mine." Mark raised his eyebrows. "Co-owner?" Ryan nodded. "Every move this place makes from now on has her signature on it." Mom set her wine glass down, the sound sharp against the table. "You think this makes you untouchable, Emily? You think one restaurant changes who you are?" I leaned forward, my tone measured but unshakable. "It's not about being untouchable. It's about knowing that when someone tries to humiliate me, I don't have to take it anymore. Yesterday, you turned this place into a stage for my failure. Today, it's my stage, and I decide who gets a seat at the table." Miguel passed by, catching the words. Without a word, he topped off, "My water glass," a quiet show of loyalty that didn't go unnoticed. Mom's eyes narrowed, but she didn't reply right away. Instead, she picked up her fork and took a slow bite of the halibut. I watched her face as the flavor hit. She wanted to enjoy it, but pride wouldn't let her admit it out loud. Across the table, Sophie tried to change the subject. So what? You're going to just run this place now? That's the plan, I said simply. And not just run it. Improve it. We're adding community nights, training programs for culinary students, sourcing from local farms, things that matter, things that build instead of break. Ryan added, she's already mapped out the first month's changes. I've rarely seen someone more prepared. Dad, who had been mostly quiet, finally spoke. Well, I can't say I agree with how all this went down, but he gestured at his plate. This is good fish. It was as close to approval as I'd ever heard from him, and I let it stand. When dessert arrived, honey-drizzled figs over mascarpone, Mom finally looked at me directly. Her voice was cooler now, but softer too. You've made your point. I held her gaze. It was never just about making a point. It was about showing you, and myself, that I'm not the person you think I am. Not anymore. Ryan leaned back, satisfied. Then I'd say lunch is a success. We all sat in that strange mix of tension and quiet acceptance. My family might never give me the kind of support I wanted, but it didn't matter anymore. I had built something that couldn't be taken away with a few cutting words over lunch. And as they stood to leave, passing through the restaurant I now co-owned, I realized something.